Yes. We are live.
I was gonna say, do I need to tell you? Yeah. So
we're
we're
live.
live.
Look at this.
We
I'm
are
gonna tweet out
live.
the link. It's this. Hoping
We
everyone
should
we
put.
tweeted it earlier. So like I'm hoping everyone saw our tweet saying, hey, what should I
Yeah,
put?
we got some people in there. Well, you always like to go with the live in all caps, so that seems like it's
I
been
was
a
gonna
good
do
one
that.
for you.
Yeah, well, I'm sticking with it. It's done. I just did it live now.
Yes.
We got 10 people in
All
here.
right.
Shout out to everyone. I see Jeff. I see Quanta. I see Sean,
Jeremy,
Roberto, and
Sean,
Jeremy.
Robert.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeremy,
Calling us
I
heroes.
will say it's not a grind because we love doing this and we're buddies and we love all of you. I will say we're gonna end it 28 straight days, and I'm proud of that. Like that's something I'm.
I know it's
proud of.
crazy.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's pretty
I am
cool.
too.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, should we do it?
Yeah.
What are you gonna say?
We
You
might
got
as
something?
well.
Might as well.
Really. Yeah,
Okay,
we might as
good.
well just do it.
So,
Yeah.
and I got a prize for everyone who's watching. You're gonna get to see a picture later, and everyone else will.
All right.
Yes,
All
that's
right.
a tease.
Excited to see where this
That's
goes.
a tease. All right, ready, roll.
Yep.
Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast presented by the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app. And it is almost freaking here. Elliott Shore Parks. I'm feeling it, buddy. I told you yesterday I was feeling it. Today it's like 1,000 times more. I
can
woke
tell.
up today freaking ready for the Eagles to whoop the Chiefs' asses on Sunday. That's where I'm at right now. I'm so fired up. I'm so ready. I love everyone in this chat. I love you. I love this ride we've been on. I'm so freaking happy right now. I'm in the best mood. I'm so excited. The Eagles are in the freaking Super Bowl. How you doing?
Just slam the table, man. Just slam it.
Let's go.
There it is. Just slam the table. It's time. I mean, look, I'm picking up my game credential today. The access is over. I won't be seeing any of these players or coaches until the game. I mean, it really is up from now until kickoff. It's not killing time because we have the pod today. We have the radio show Saturday and Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. Gonna do a meetup tonight in Phoenix, so I'm hoping to see some real ones there.
Tell people where you're gonna be.
We're going to do Willie's Taco Joint in downtown Phoenix. It's apparently, they don't even know we're coming. It's apparently owned by a South Jersey Eagles fan. So figured like that was the move. Hoping we get even 2 people to come would be unbelievable. If not, me and Jack will just be chilling there doing our thing. But no, I mean, like all week it's felt like a party here because there's just so many fans. It's outside. It's nice. But there is something about the time when the access ends. Like the Eagles are done. We're not going to hear from the Eagles anymore. But besides, things they've already done. And now it's just waiting for the game. But in the downtown, you can feel it start to feel exciting where there's more people out at night. There's more people coming in. Like the fans of Philly people are here now. I mean, it's just it's so close. It's just so close. And I'm sure we will talk about the game to some extent today. But I'm also at a point where
What else is there to say?
What else is there to say? I know about the matchups. I'm just excited. Well, I'm just really, really excited to see how this team comes out and plays. Like that's what I'm most excited for. Like I remember when they ran out the tunnel in 2017 and I already knew that they were going to win. But in 2017, when they ran out, I was like, well, that's game over. Like they're winning this game. And I just can't wait to see how they are in that moment.
Yeah, I am exactly the same way. Again, like I said yesterday, I'm at the point where it's time. Like I have no more buildup left in me and I got to make it a couple more days. I'll be out tonight, by the way. Come hang out with me. I'll be at Locust Rendezvous in Philly and then the Yard in Havertown. So we're
Very
out
nice.
doing it.
All around.
Leading Eagles chants. Nothing better than leading an Eagles chant in a bar with a microphone. It's like my favorite thing on the planet.
That'll
be super fun. But it is funny because I'm right there with you, dude. Like I'm maxed out. I'm tapped out on things. I actually went through. It's funny that you say this because one of the things I tried to do for this pod was come up with things that interest me that we have not talked about. Right. And I got 2.
Right.
and one of them wasn't even my idea. Shout out to Drew, who's actually in the chat. Drew Bayless right there, who is also known more known to us is Drew from Westchester on WIP. And he brought up something that we hadn't talked about that I hadn't even thought about, which is, again, the whole point of this is how tiny. These are the levels of things we have not talked about yet. We haven't talked about the fact that Ndamukong Suh was on the Bucs team that beat Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
Well,
and had a sack and a half. And we haven't talked about that at all. And like, does that matter at all? That experience, having that guy on the D line, how they won that football game. I do think that's one angle to this game we have not talked about yet.
Well, and the other
That's where
crazy
we're
thing
at.
is,
That's where we're at, by the way.
it's also just crazy to think Ndamukong Suh is on this team. Like, he's one of the most talked about players in the NFL over the last however many years. And like, you almost forget he's on the roster. Even in the locker room, he's very, at least when, you know, it's open to us, he's very quiet. You know, he doesn't talk a ton. Yesterday, I'm walking around and, you know, all the players are there and like, he's just talking to people. Like, I don't know. It's just, you would think a presence and a name as big as that would blend it, would stand out. But there's just so many stars on this team and there's so many personalities that I think he's really just been able to just join in. But yeah, I mean, I forgot that he was on that team to beat Patrick Mahomes. Wish I would have remembered that before today and I could ask him about it. But that was a poor job by me. But that is a good one. Yeah. I mean, even Linval Joseph, again, like these guys that they just added and have just been really good for him.
Yeah, and when they added them, we're like, oh, don't get excited about this. It's not really going to make a difference. And now Jordan Davis doesn't even play.
I doesn't even play at all.
Effective. Yeah. The other one I had is just the irony of the fact that we're finally playing Andy Reid in the Super Bowl, and his roster is the same thing that we dealt with and got so upset about for so long. Now, yes, Travis Kelce, but like, how long did we ask him to get receivers here? It took until T.O., and now he's actually in the Super Bowl with a team with a quarterback and no receivers. It's actually pretty ironic. It's hilarious.
Now, Mahomes is a level that McNabb.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, you're right. Now, the thing about the receivers is, so it also looks like Kadarius Toney is going to play, which whatever. He kind of sucks. Although he can be tough after the catch. I think and he's been better in Kansas City. But the thing about the receivers to me is, I just don't really think it matters who the receivers are, because ultimately, if the defensive line gets pressure on Patrick Mahomes, it won't really matter who the receivers are. But if they don't, it also won't matter, because no secondary, as good as they might be, can protect against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid for, 4 or 5 seconds, right? Like, if Mahomes is able to sit back there and have time, then it won't matter. But they definitely do have the advantage against those receivers. I think MVS is like a little underrated. I think he can be a nice deep threat, but the Eagles are so good at stopping passes down the field. You don't know how much you have to worry about that. I think my concern, not even concern, but the thing that keeps me up at night from just jumping all in on being like, the Eagles are definitely going to win, is I'm just really worried they're going to neutralize the pass rush. I just am. Like, between their pass blocking offensive line, between Andy, between Patrick Mahomes, they don't get sacked a lot. Like, that's my biggest concern. The closer the game gets, I'm not as concerned about the offense anymore. Like, I think the offensive line will probably be fine against the Chiefs pass rush. That's my biggest, like, where I've landed on why would the Eagles not win. It's if the pass rush can't get to Mahomes.
Yeah, don't worry about it. They're going to get to Mahomes. The greatest.
Oh, there you go.
One of the great pass rushes in the history of the NFL. I mean, I read that stat yesterday, the stat from Shields' article, that the difference in sack rate, which is essentially sacks per dropback, very simple stat. In sack rate, the difference between them and the number 2 team, they were number 1, number 2, is the difference between 2 and 29. I mean, they get to the quarterback and sack the quarterback. Don't just get to the quarterback, but actually get him to the ground.
They finish the job,
as good as pretty much any defense in the history of football. So I'm very confident. And look, I know that the interior of the Chiefs line is fantastic, but Brown and Wiley are not great pass blockers.
No, they're not great tackles.
Wiley's like a pretty bad pass blocker as far as it goes. So like, and Brown's fine, but he's not good. So I do think on the outside with Sweat and Reddick and Graham and those guys, like, I do think that they will be able to get to the quarterback. I really believe that.
So let me ask you this, because you've been confident all along that they're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give me a specific answer. What has you most confident? Like, when you think of why they're going to win, what is the thing that has you most sure of it? Not just they're a better team, but like, is there a specific part of it?
Well, no. Well, I get like the you can't just shirk off they're a better team. Like, the reason I think the Eagles are going to win is because I think they're better at like 17 positions on the field. Like, I think if you did a draft of all the starters in this game, like, the Eagles would have, 15 of the first 20 or whatever it is, like, or 14 of the first 20. Like, I just think they are substantially more talented across the field. And I think, look, like, this Eagles team, like, we forgot for a little bit when Hurts got hurt. And then, the end of the season, the way it did, we forgot how dominant they were. They were the best team in football by a mile. Like, no one was in their hemisphere. And now they look like that again throughout the playoffs. And I know there've been mitigating circumstances, but no one's been in their hemisphere. 69-14. Like, I've not seen we have only one time this entire season seen them lose a game with Jalen Hurts starting, and it was the flukiest game of the season. There are like 6 things you can point to: the Goddard face mask, the Quez fumble, like there are multiple things, the 4 turnovers that are just never happened with the Eagles. So it's just like the confidence comes from, and I can get more specific. There are specific parts of this, like the fact, and Richie was talking about this today, the fact that the Eagles' strengths match up with the Chiefs' weaknesses. The Chiefs are not great at stopping the run. The Eagles are the best running team in football. The Chiefs' wide receivers are not great. The Eagles' secondary is the best in football. Like they match up strength versus weakness in spots that should give the Eagles an even bigger advantage. But my biggest thing is I just think they're a way better football team. Like it comes down to beating the dude in front of you. It comes down to being the better team. And I just think the Eagles are definitively the better team. Anything can happen. I get that. But going into the game, my supreme confidence that they're going to win comes from the fact that I just think they're better. Like I know it's simple, but sometimes Occam's razor, sometimes the simplest explanation is the correct one. The Eagles are better. They're a better football team, top to bottom, at almost every position on the field. And and on top of that, they've got the culture, they've got the fight for each other, like all the stuff you could want, they have. And then on top of that, they're just better. Like that's why I'm so confident.
Yeah. And look, through the week, my confidence has gone up for sure. I mean, it still is a concern to me that while their roster is better, and I think the best way to put it is if you made a 53-man roster out of these 2 rosters, the majority of them would be Eagles players, right? Like if not the far majority. And, a lot of the starters would probably be Eagles as well, right? But all positions are not weighted the same, like quarterback matters a lot more than the fact that the Eagles have better linebackers or corners or whatever, right?
But it's a small gap between, you're the one who said you think Hurts is
no, yeah, right. That's what
I think it's a very tiny gap. Like even the positions that the Chiefs, like the ones where you would say, oh, the Chiefs are definitely better at those positions. Like definitely. There's only 3 off the top of your head. You're like, they're definitely better. They're better at tight end. Dallas Goedert's still pretty freaking great. They're better at quarterback. Yeah. Jalen Hurts is still pretty freaking great. And Chris Jones, Javon Hargrave's pretty freaking great. So it's like,
I think the biggest gap there is Chris Jones. Yeah,
probably. But again, Chris Jones, that's fine. But then talk about the rest of the Eagles defensive line is better than all the other guys. I know Frank Clark's good, but I'll take Sweat and I'll obviously take Reddick over him. So I get the point, but I just think that the difference where the Chiefs are better is small, and there are spots where the Eagles wide receivers versus the Chiefs wide receivers, it's talking about the best versus the worst. Yeah.
And the corners, and the corners too.
And the corners, again, and the edge rushers, and there are multiple spots throughout the field where you say, wow, the Eagles are just flat out better.
Yeah. I think the Eagles have the better roster
tackles,
overall.
The
tackles are better. Yeah. The tackles are better. Yeah. The interior, look, the Eagles are
interior is probably just as good. They're both great, but the Eagles line is better. Like to your point, when you always talk about the trenches, the Eagles have
they have the better offensive line. They have the better
defensive line.
They do. Absolutely. Yeah.
So when you ask where my confidence comes from, it's just looking at this football game and looking at all the aspects of it. And to your point, look, the only reason I think they could lose is Patrick Mahomes. Like that's it. That's the one thing that is an X factor, and it's the all-time X factor. But I don't think I don't think he's going to be enough to beat all the other things the Eagles have going for them. Like I don't even think the Eagles have to play an A+ game to win. Like that's how much better I think they are. I think they're going to win by double digits. Like that's where I'm at. I'm going to predict the Eagles a double-digit win. Like that's how I feel.
Yeah. Well, look. You've had a great read on this team all year, so I'm not going to sit here and say that you're wrong about it. I don't even know really what to say at this point because I'm going to end up probably picking the Eagles to win just because when I look at it, I think this is why I'll ultimately end up picking them is because I do think the rosters are comparable. I think the Chiefs have an edge at quarterback and head coach. And I do think the Chiefs offense, again, not trying to be Mr. Hater on a Friday, but and Gannon's my guy, but we have not seen them shut down a great quarterback. So that's a concern, right? And I do think that the Chiefs could potentially scheme. But I think why I'll end up picking the Eagles is because just being around them and feeling their confidence, I don't think they're going to put up a bad game. I don't. And I think that if they play their A game, they can win the game. And I don't know if the Chiefs will put up their
rephrase. I think if they play their A game, they win. Period. That's
point what I'm saying. Yeah.
The Eagles A game is the best A game in the NFL this year. So if they play my point is I think they can play a B game and win. If they play an A game, they're 100%.
You're under.
Not can win. If they play their A game, they are 100% winning the football game.
Yeah, so I don't think they can win with their B game for what it's worth. I think,
Oh,
and
I
look,
do.
and now look, unless the Chiefs play their, B- game or whatever. And,
No, I think
the
the
Chiefs have
Eagles
not been
B
great in
game
Super
is
Bowls.
better than the Chiefs like A- game or the Chiefs B. You know what I mean? Like I think the Eagles are definitively better. Like that's where our gap is. Like I think
Yeah,
Eagles are
I
a
think you're
better football team.
yeah, I think you're undervaluing the Chiefs a little bit. I mean, now, and like, I
I
can't
might
tell if
be.
it's
I
because,
might be.
yeah,
But
I'm
again,
high on the Eagles too. I'm just high.
but I think you're overvaluing the Chiefs. That's
So I think the concern and the difference in our opinions is we're both high on the Eagles. I'm just higher on the Chiefs. Is
sure.
the difference. Like I agree. The Eagles are awesome at almost everything, right? They have the great run. They have a great offensive line. They have a great defensive line. They have a great they can do everything. We've seen it all year, right? When they play their best game, they are capable and will likely beat any team in the NFL when they play their best game. I agree with you on that. My thing is, I think the Chiefs are a terrifying opponent because of Patrick Mahomes. And again, like, look, the Eagles are better, but the Chiefs are not bad at many things, right? Like, they're not great against the run, but they're middle of the pack of the league against it. So that's where I think, like, if the Chiefs come out and really play their best game, that's a concern for the Eagles. But the Chiefs have not played their best games in the Super Bowl. And it's not the end of the world that for them that they haven't. Like if we were a Chiefs pod, I don't think we'd be sitting here and saying, well, they won one and they lost one. So, but ultimately they've not played their best in the Super Bowl. We've seen Andy in big games. And as much as I think there's an argument for taking Andy Saturday or Monday through Saturday, Nick is a better game day head coach than Andy Reid is. He just is. I know he's younger, but he's a better game day coach. You see him make those decisions all the time that help these teams. There's never any wasted timeouts. There's never getting to the line of scrimmage late, any of those things. So I think the Eagles have all those advantages. But to your point, like if Patrick Mahomes plays his A game, like if Patrick Mahomes plays an A+ game, I do not think the Eagles win. Is like the way I would put it. You have to hope that your pass rush puts Mahomes into not playing an A+ game.
Yeah, I don't know that Mahomes can play an A+ game with the weapons and the team that he has. You know what I mean? Like he has, I know he put up a huge numbers this year, but it's not like they've played a lot of close games. It's not like they've beaten the crap out of teams. Like they beat the crap out of the Niners.
They don't blow people. They don't blow people out.
People out. Like, I don't know. I get your point. I just don't think Mahomes is enough. Mahomes is great. I just don't think he's enough to make up for the mass differences in terms of talent. I think the Eagles are significantly more talented than the Chiefs. It seems like you don't.
The Eagles are more talented. But I think if the Eagles roster is an A, the Chiefs are like a B+, and maybe the Eagles are an A+. So like, I think there's probably a 1-letter grade difference, but I don't think it's an A to a C. Like the Eagles.
I think that's fair. Sorry, no, I think that's
fair. The Chiefs have really good safeties. They have corners that have played well this year. They're not as good as the Eagles corners, but they have corners now. They're rookies, which is a concern, but they have good corners.
Yeah.
Like their line is good.
I see a really good point from Brennan there. Tom Brady put up an A++ game and still lost to the Eagles in the Super Bowl. And he's right. Tom Brady put up statistically the greatest game a quarterback has ever played, or at least in terms of yards in the Super Bowl, and he lost. So that's kind of my point. I think the best team's going to win.
Yeah, but again, like Nick Foles played an A++ game, if not an A++.
Why are you assuming Hurts can't play a great game?
I'm not assuming that. So maybe for me to say they will definitively lose if he plays an A++ game.
Yeah, that's
wrong.
my point.
I shouldn't have said. Yeah. I'm just saying, obviously, the defense, because you're saying what you're most afraid of is Patrick Mahomes. The defense has to get to Mahomes. They have to. Like the defensive line has.
They will. When haven't they gotten to someone all year long? When haven't they gotten to someone?
Fair. That's fair.
I mean, look, it could be the first time, but like all season long, this line has gotten home all year.
Yeah, and look, Reddick seems ready. When talking to him, he seems very, very motivated.
So take us inside that, because you mentioned this on the radio, and I thought it was interesting about being around the team and the vibe that you're feeling being around those guys this week.
Yeah, I just think being like, maybe it's a thing that since I'm on the road, I'm not normally around the team until the game's over. Like, actually, I never am, right? But being in Phoenix, I think sometimes like it feels like I've talked about this, like being at the Super Bowl, it puts it into perspective of what a massive stage they're stepping onto. And for me, earlier in the week when we talked about it, it put into perspective what a massive accomplishment is it that they've gotten here. Like seeing him on the signage and seeing Jalen on the signage, seeing Nick up on the podium. Like being in Phoenix really kind of made me take in the magnitude of the moment. And I think a result of that is me feeling like, man, this is a super tough challenge that they're stepping into. And it is like, even
No,
if
it makes sense.
you think they win by, but I think that being around the team, since I'm around them in Philly all the time, has made me kind of like, pick up on their confidence, I guess would be a good way to put it. Like, I remember before the Giants game and really the Niners game, being in that locker room and being like, oh yeah, they got this. Like, there's no way they're going to lose to, like, this game. Like, especially the Giants. The Niners, I was very confident too, but Niners are a better team. This better team than the Giants, not a better team than the Eagles, despite what the Niners themselves might.
We'll get to that.
But yeah, but I really just think there's something about being around the roster and just watching how they interact with each other, seeing that they're the same, that reminds you what a great team they are. And so, I saw someone say like, Mr. Flip Flops is flipping again, and whatever, like, it is what it is, but it's just true. Like, cause look, me and you talk off the air all the time about this game, and like how I feel about my initial reaction was, but I have to be honest too, and say that being around the team and just like seeing them, it has shifted me. Just seeing how ready they appear. Like Hassan Reddick at the podium, he's like ready to jump off the podium to a certain extent because he's so ready to get to the game. Jalen's him same self. Devontae like seems just incredibly calm and collected in the moment. Like, and I'm sure the Chiefs do too, but I know what this Eagles team looks like when they're about to win. I've seen it. I've seen what they look like when they're ready. And that's what they look like to me. Now, I still have the concerns, right? Like I do, but there is something calming and like a reminding factor to seeing that, okay, yeah, this group of guys that I watched win all year, like that's the group of guys I'm seeing.
Oh, I love it. This is the best thing you've said. It makes me so happy to hear it. And it's exactly what I want to hear. And like, man, I'm just sitting listening to, and look, that actually really makes sense. Like, to your point, like your experience of it informing your opinions, like, obviously.
Yeah.
That makes sense though. That's way more logical. And it makes a lot more sense from where you were coming from earlier in the week when you're out there and you see this big scale and it's like, whoa, like this is, especially because, and the Chiefs have been there and on all that stuff. All right. Couple of quick things. As again, I got nothing else on the game. Hurts MVP.
Oh yeah,
didn't get
last
it.
night.
Didn't get it.
I mean, 48-1 is insane, though.
Second, it's so dumb. Like I'm happy he ended up in second place because he deserved to at least be in second place. But one first place vote, really?
Yeah.
Also, you had a very strong take on the MVP voting, which I actually agree with as well.
Well, I've said like literally 500 things over the last few days.
About
so what was it?
The guy who threw his vote away, or the woman?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, like, shout out to whoever helped the guy's name who helped Damar Hamlin, and he's a hero.
Denny Killington, I believe.
Yeah, he deserves all the accolades in the world. Doesn't deserve an MVP vote.
Yeah,
and I think sometimes like you see some of these votes and it's like people don't take it seriously.
Yeah,
like,
I agree with you.
Props to that person. Like I am not diminishing his accomplishments.
He deserves all the accolades in the world.
Yeah.
He didn't play football this year.
He's not an MVP. Like the vote is not meant to send like to like make a statement on how you feel. The vote is meant to say who you think the most valuable player is. Like, I don't get an MVP vote. You don't get an MVP vote. The people that get votes should use it on players that they think are the most valuable player in the league.
I agree.
If that's the case, like why shouldn't I vote for Howie for MVP?
I agree with you.
Why not vote for Jeffrey Lurie? Right?
Like, yeah, you're right. You're right.
So, and look, I get it. The person that did it did fifth place. Like, but whatever. I just think that, and this is my Brandon Graham thing too. Like, again, what did Geno Smith come back from? And I'm happy for Geno, blah, 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 whatever. It should almost be like a little embarrassing to accept that award because it's basically the entire league being like, man, you really sucked the last few years, but now you were good enough to lose one playoff game, right? Like, what a hero you are. Like, at least with Brandon Graham, there's an acknowledgement of like, yeah, you had a serious injury and you came back from that. Geno, like, that'd be like if in a year from now, WIP gave me a comeback player of the year award, I'd be like, for what? Like, was I not good in 2021? Like, what am I coming back from here? So, yeah, I mean, I think overall with the awards, you look and see like Nick Sirianni didn't come that close, right, to winning the award. Like, this team was punished for being collectively great. There's no other way to spin it. They were punished for being collectively great because each person that voted, I would almost guarantee it, sat there and went, well, that roster was really good and diminished everything that else that they accomplished. And it's messed up. Like and I'm not even being a homer here. Like, this is not how awards are supposed to be decided.
Siriani came in 5th. He was the 5th, really? The 5th best coaches. He beat Dable twice in the regular season. And I know the last one, whatever you want to say, but he whooped his ass.
Well, then he handed 48 to 20. Yeah.
And then the votes before the playoffs. So
I know, but I'm saying it takes, you can say.
The playoffs, he beat 2 dudes who are in front of him. He beat Doug during the regular season. Like, it's so dumb. And it's why it's like, I always say I don't care about these things, and I don't, but I just get so angry.
Well, you should care. I always say you should care. Care.
It's outrageous.
It's so silly. Really quick. So Jeff in the chat put Elliott came back from that 30 touchdowns in training camp take. So that'll be my comeback player of the year thing. But
great. That's a good point, Jeff.
It is a good point by Jeff. I mean,
Elliott
I was correct about that.
Comeback player of the year.
Well, I'll tell you this. If I get comeback player of the year because of that take, I'll refuse the award and get up on stage and say, why I actually should not. Yeah. But like, to the award thing, right? People should care. People like, I don't like the whole, and we've done this, but I don't like the whole, I don't care about it. Like, why?
No, you're right. I just yelled about it. I clearly care. Sports. I was like, I don't care, but I'm so angry.
Yeah. Jalen worked really hard. Yeah. Jalen deserved more than to get 48 to 1. Yeah. And he certainly deserved more first place votes than Josh Allen.
Oh my God. I mean,
like he tied Josh Allen with first place.
I know. It's outrageous. And again, like, look, Patrick Mahomes winning it is not like, it's not the biggest travesty of all time. We both would have given it to Jalen, but like, Mahomes was amazing this year.
Yeah, he was amazing. He put up great
numbers. Lost Tyreek Hill and he went 14-3 and 50 whatever.
And I'll say this too, like, my researching of the Chiefs for the Super Bowl has made me appreciate more what Patrick Mahomes did.
He's been
right?
amazing.
So, yeah.
But the Nick Sirianni one, like, that actually is outrageous. For him to come in 5th place in Coach of the Year, like, just throw the award out. Like that
I agree.
Earmuffs 1, 2, 3. That is fucking dumb. Like, that is fucking dumb. That is fucking stupid.
I agree. I 100% agree with you on that. I do. Now, I'll also say that since Jalen didn't win the MVP, the stat that's gone around of like, well, MVPs are 0-9 in the Super Bowl or whatever.
0-8. I love it. Since Kurt
Look,
Warner,
I love it for the trend and everything.
It's great.
I don't know.
Love it.
I would have
big fan.
I would have gladly taken Jalen as MVP and fought, and then felt comfortable that was not going to impact the outcome of the game. Right? Like, wouldn't you?
Sure. I like what Brennan said right there. Brennan said Patrick Mahomes MVP, Jalen Hurts, hold my beer, Super Bowl MVP. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. Shout out to my buddy Mike in the chat. Love it. So many great people here. This is so much
fun.
Let
me ask you a question.
I am heated, Albert. You're not wrong. Go ahead. Sorry. Yes. Ask me a question.
So the line is still sitting, I think, at like 1.5. Like, I haven't looked today on what it is. But would you bet it up?
Oh, yeah.
You seem pretty confident. I mean,
I already have. I was going to say, the
odds of
I have the Eagles minus 13.5. I have the Eagles minus 9.5.
13.5?
And I have the Eagles minus 6.5. I bet a bunch.
What are those odds?
It was like, the one was like
plus 800.
Yeah, it was like plus 800, plus 750, something like that. Yeah. Why not? Like, because I believe they're gonna. I'm super confident. So why wouldn't I bet?
Yeah, no, I agree. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like, if you're confident the Eagles are gonna win, other than if you just want to definitely win money, but betting it up is absolutely the move.
It's funny, bringing up gambling, shout out to Parks, and everyone should download the Bet Parks Sportsbook Casino. This is your last chance before the big game, the biggest of games, the all-time biggest game with you can bet. We're talking about props. You can bet on all these things at the Bet Parks app, rushing touchdowns or anytime touchdowns or yardage or passing yards, rushing yards, all these different things.
First quarter winner, first half winner.
All the stuff. You can take the under on all the Kansas City props because they're going to be terrible and we're going to beat the crap out of them. Take the over on all the Philadelphia props because we're going to do great. We're going to win it all. Seriously though, like it is, there's nothing more fun for this game in particular than having the Parks app out, the Bet Parks app out, and getting some fun. And I'll be completely honest, I am only betting pro Philly things. Normally, I'm a big separate your heart and your money guy.
I think in this instance,
like we do the read, we do this all year. We're like, you can make some freaking money, do it, and I love that. But like for this one, I'm only betting pro Eagles stuff. Like I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Tommy, download the app even though he can't use it. Like that's a real one.
See, that's hero stuff. Tommy,
that's an auto download.
That's an auto download. So seriously, be a Tommy, okay? Download the app. bet on the app, have some fun with us. If you're a new user, $750 in site credit if your first bet is not a winner, up to $750. I mean, that's legit. It's a great.
That is legit.
You must be 21. You can download the app in the App Store, Google Play Store, or at betparks.com. You must be 21 and present in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. Gambling problem. Call 1-800.
All right, I have a question for you.
Yes.
If/when the Eagles win on Sunday, and Jalen Hurts, there's a picture of Jalen Hurts holding the Super Bowl trophy. Should I quote tweet my tweet about Mahomes? Exactly. You got it there. Should I quote tweet my tweet about Mahomes?
Yes, with him holding it. Yes, of course.
And putting, I feel like that's the tweet, right?
It's
like that's the tweet.
It's all time.
I think so.
It's
I've been
great.
thinking about it.
So real quick, there's a Ron Adams in the chat. I used to have a boss named Ron Adams. Ron, is that you? Because that would be hilarious. Looks like it could be.
Where was he a boss at?
At a place called WC Financial when he used to sell mortgages back in the day. How about that?
I didn't know you used to sell mortgages. I do remember you did real people
I sold
jobs,
mortgages.
But...
Oh yeah, I sold mortgages. I sold real estate. I sold energy safety equipment, which is like going into refineries.
I can just picture you walking into somebody slamming the table like this is the best interest rate you're gonna get.
This gas detection equipment, you need it.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to hear something really creepy that happened in my hotel room?
Yes. Ooh.
I came back from my hotel room yesterday and there was a black latex glove on the floor.
Oh my God. What?
Right? I feel like it must have been the cleaners.
Cleaning. Of course it was.
But yeah.
Super
but
weird.
It's definitely not the thing you want to walk into and see.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. All right, couple other things I want to get into, and then we can, if you have anything else, we don't have anything else in the game, right? Like specific to the game and surrounding the game. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I'm gonna like talk Eagles for a little more, but yeah, I don't have any like specific.
So I'm saying, is there anything? Okay, good. Because a couple other things I want to get into before final thoughts on it. The quickly on the 40 Winers, and I've heard a lot of people.
40 Winers, nice.
Yeah, well, that's their name. They've you didn't see it's breaking news. Officially, they are no longer the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, do you see the
40 Winers? They are the biggest bunch, other than someone else who I'm going to get to, who we all know is a loser.
There it is.
These guys are the biggest freaking losers on the planet. Like Robbie Gould, the bleeping kicker is. I didn't earmuffs there, so I caught myself.
Good job.
How about this? Earmuffs. 1, 2, 3. The fucking kicker is saying if you make Jalen Hurts play quarterback, you got a good chance to beat him. Are you serious? You freaking loser? You lost. You all lost. 31-7. 31-7. Yeah. Stop crying. Stop being a baby. We knocked your quarterback out. Don't block Hassan Reddick with a freaking tight end. You morons. You're all morons. I hate all of you. The Niners are like quickly rising the ranks, man. Like they're not Dallas. We all know Dallas sucks. I might hate Niners fans more than I hate Giants fans right now. Like we're right there. I might hate the Niners players. I definitely hate the Niners players more than I hate Giants players. I hate those guys. Like you are all, how many guys have to come out? What is it, like 10 guys? We've heard from like 10 different guys who's like, oh, we would have won. Debo Samuel's like breaking down the game plan of how they were going to, like, earmuffs, 1, 2, 3. Fuck all of you. As Tupac once said. Thank you.
So here's my thoughts on the Niners. They should just stop talking about it. I like if the Eagles, thank you. Yeah. If the Eagles lost to the Niners because Jalen got knocked out and then Minshew got knocked out, there is no question that people would be upset about it in Philadelphia. And rightfully so, because you would feel like you got cheated out of a chance to win. And I would understand the players feeling that way. But here's the deal. Just don't talk about it, man. Like, it's not coming across good. Nobody is being like, that's a great point. Everyone saw what happened. So I think that they, like, internally and as players, I understand feeling the way they feel. I just don't think they're benefited at all. And I saw a good point on Twitter, and I forget who it was, so I apologize for stealing it, but it was a great thought. I do think it's a reflection of Kyle Shanahan a little. Like, it's a little bit of reflection of Kyle Shanahan at this point, all his players are continually complaining about this. Like, look, the Eagles, and I'm a big don't blame the ref guy, right? But, you know, the missed face mask against Goddard, right? Like, there's been moments, and the Eagles have not lost a lot. But look, even when they didn't have Hurts and they lost to Dallas and they lost to New Orleans, you really didn't hear a lot of like, well, if we had Carson.
If we had Jalen, no.
If we had Jalen, yeah. So used to Carson.
How about the Eagles in 2003 when we lost our quarterback in a championship game? Does people not remember Donovan McNabb got knocked out of that Panthers game?
Yeah.
Coy Detmer had to come in. You don't see us. We never talk about that. We talk about how we should have beat the Panthers and we didn't. That's what we talk about.
Yeah, and look, so that's where I ultimately fall on it. I just don't see what they benefit, and it's just so dumb too. And I'm sure we've talked about it, but like this idea that they're going to have an emergency quarterback that would have changed things. Like what, like that? What someone
Yeah,
from like
you
the
already had Josh
XFL?
Johnson.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
who's
like
worse?
where are you going to after that? Yeah, so I do think it reflects poorly on the Niners, and to have the Eagles tied back in. It reflects well on Nick that you never see the team complain about these things. At least off the top of my head, I can't think of it. You never hear the team come out and be like, yeah, the ref cost us the game. Or, well, this guy was injured, we would have won others. They can believe whatever they want internally. And like I said, the Niners can believe it. But how you carry yourself in the media is a reflection of like the organizational values to an extent. And the Eagles handle losing. They don't lose as often, but they handle losing better than the Niners. And I think it's a poor reflection on the Niners.
I'm right
60
there with
people
you.
watching, by the way.
It's the most we've had. I love every single one of you except one. I got to be honest here. Okay. I got to be honest. And maybe it's just
I
a
know
weird.
what you're going to. Yeah, I saw that.
Todd Black. I'm sorry. I got to call you out here. Are you a Chiefs fan? Why do you have
there's a Chiefs logo in here.
What is happening here? Like, what were you just checking on the enemy or whatever? It's just weird. Todd, you got to sort this out because right now we have 60 people in here, and I want to say 59 of you. I love you with all of my heart, and I'm so grateful that you're in here. Todd, get out, buddy. Get out. So, I don't need you here. Unless you're an Eagles fan, there's some weird Chiefs thing going on with you. Like, get out. Okay, that's how I feel. No Chiefs fans allowed today.
Someone commented this, and it's a good like way to think about the game we didn't talk about. The Chiefs, I believe is what he's talking about. The Chiefs throwing it to their running backs. So I do think when you talk about neutralizing the pass rush, one way to do that is to get it out quickly. Now, when you look at Patrick Mahomes this year, he holds on to it on average just as long as Jalen. I think they're like 14th and 15th in the league, and they're either directly tied or it's like 0.01 second difference. So they hold on to it just as much. But one thing the Chiefs do is they do throw it to their running backs a ton. And that's not surprising. We all know how Andy does it. So I'll be interested to see how the Eagles handle that because the Eagles this year, when the defense has been good, they tackle really, really well. They do not allow. We talked about this in the Niners game where the concern was that the Niners are just going to cross route all day on them and get Debo over the middle and all that. But I don't know if you heard they lost their quarterback, so that might have impacted it.
I didn't hear that. That happened?
No, yeah. But I'll be interested to see like how the Eagles handle this kind of dump off style of offense if the Chiefs decide to do it. No stats perfect. I'm not saying this is an end all be all, but ESPN had a stat that said the Eagles were like 31st in the league guarding running backs. I don't remember a lot of running backs catching it on them, so maybe that's like situational and it's a small number. So there's that possibility, but the Chiefs do have Jerick McKinney, who's a very good pass catching running back, and the other running back whose name I'll just never feel comfortable pronouncing because I know I'm going to mess it up, but Pacheco. By Sunday, I'll learn it. Pacheco just seems like he'd be great in space. Here's a question for you.
Are you
concerned about okay.
Oh, I was going to wonder. I could put a user in a timeout. Should I put Todd in a timeout? I feel like Todd needs to go in timeout. He's talking smack to our people. Yeah, all right, I'm going to ask the chat. Should I put Todd in a timeout? Let me know. Okay, ask your question.
What I don't have really much. If you want
to battle with Todd, that's fine too. So go ahead.
No, we don't. I don't want to give Todd more than enough time. I mean, look, Todd, thank you for watching and hanging in there. But ultimately,
not thank you. I don't like you, Todd.
he said, "Oh no, James." All right. Yeah, now he's mocking. Now he's gone.
Guess who just got put on timeout by Todd?
Oh, that's funny. He gets blocked for 5 minutes.
And you'll get another chance to come back in 5 minutes, and then I can ban him. I have it turns out I can block users. So Todd,
well, I think it'd be fun to let him back in if the Eagles win. Like if he comes back, he probably won't come back.
I can keep banning him every 5 minutes.
Yeah, every 5 minutes. Look at you learning how to ban people.
I'm loving today. I'm loving today. All right, go ahead. What was your question? Oh, any special 64 to 63. Feel good about it. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. Any concern about the special teams? Because apparently the Chiefs special teams are really good, and the Eagles are gonna. I'm a little worried. Not gonna lie, I'm a little worried about Siposs coming back. Hasn't played in a while. Has never punted in a Super Bowl. Hasn't held in a while. I don't know, man. I guess I trust the coaching staff to feel if he's confident enough up there. And I know Brett Kern has been really bad, but at least Brett Kern has been playing. And in a game that, look, you bet it up to 13, so maybe it won't be close, but in a game that will at least be close early on, you would think, a bad special teams error, a dropped punt, a shanked punt, a dropped field goal attempt. I'm a little worried about putting Siposs out there.
So look, it is what it is in terms of we have crappy punters. Am I concerned special teams or the punting will lose them the game? No, I'm not. Okay. Am I concerned that it's Sipas? Like in a vacuum, sure, because I think Sipas sucks, and I spent the first half of season talking about that.
Right, that's my thing. I'm like, if they're both bad, why not just play the one, though?
No, I'd rather have him than Kern. At least he's tough. Sipas, like, if something goes wrong, at least he'll pick up the ball and run with it, or like, kick somebody or tackle somebody or whatever. Like,
but man, like
he's
he hasn't
kind of a
played
badass out there. Whatever, holding, like, wait, he can't hold? Like, what are we talking about?
Look, I think the
catch, boom, got it, I did it.
All right, I'm just saying, like, there's
time off's not going to stop him from being a hold. Look, the punter is definitely, if I had to pick the single most concerning position on the field for the Eagles, it's the punter, no matter who plays. Is that going to cause me to be concerned about the Super Bowl? No.
All right, let me ask you this now. So I got into this debate with Fritz yesterday. Would you come out running or throwing?
I would come out. So I actually would come out throwing. The Eagles have been really good at throwing to set up the run. I would lean heavily on the run. Like, I am planning to run the football in this game, but I'd probably come out throwing a little bit, mixing in the run, and then getting into the run heavy as the game goes on.
So I looked it up, and in 2017, Doug threw it, I think, on 6 of the first 7 plays to go down the field, and they ended with a field goal, I think, on that, not a touchdown. But I agree. I would come out and throw. I think with rookie corners, you really want to, like, get on them early, like, especially in the Super Bowl. I mean, if you can get AJ or Devontae deep, like in that Giants game where they had the 40-yard completion, I mean, that could, like, shake these corners for the whole game if you can do that. So I do believe in throwing, as we know. Throwing is my fetish. So, like, ultimately, I would do it. But I will say this, like,
I want to run the ball in general is my point, though. Like, I'm running the ball in this game.
A caller called in yesterday, I thought made a really good point. The Chiefs are average against the run. Their pass rush is really good. Like, I have faith in Jalen, but ultimately it's riskier to throw the ball from a turnover perspective. Even if he's amazing at it, just is what it is. I don't know. There is some part of me that feels like having come out, having the offensive line push, like,
well, look.
I'm not as into it as I used to be.
Well,
I'm not
when
as
we say different,
like,
like ultimately I want them to be balanced always. Like, I always want them to do both things, to run and throw. I think you come out and do both things, but the Eagles have had a lot of success this season throwing early and running late, and I think that's what they like to do. And
that's where they're
more comfortable. So
that's what I would do too. Would you kick the ball or take the ball?
I would kick it. We've talked about this, but I would kick it. I get the argument for taking it, but it's what you do. And the numbers, the numbers lean that way.
Bear that out.
And again, I trust my defense to get on the field first too. You know what I mean? And to go get me a stop to make it.
God, I feel like the first possession is just so important. It just, if they can, I remember it was last year in the Falcons home opener when I spent the whole offseason being like, they're going to be fine. And then they got the ball first. And I was like, ooh, like I think it would ease a lot of concerns if they got the ball and just went down the field. Or honestly, if the defense got off.
I mean, that's what they did in the last Super Bowl. They got the ball. They didn't get a touchdown, but they walked down the field. They got that field goal. Kind of the drive stalled at the end, but they got in the red zone. They got a field goal, and you were like, okay, like they can move the ball. And it did. You're right. It was a sigh of relief. Like, in hindsight, I'm happy it played out that way. Obviously, they won. But I do think that was helpful, kind of getting rolling a little bit, getting Foles on the field. So I could see that maybe getting Hurts's nerves out first, just getting on the field and going a little bit. I don't know, But
here's a question.
It's not one where I feel like as strongly as I normally do. I'm good with either way. I won't be upset either way.
All right, so here's a question, and the chat can chime in on this one too. So I can't come up with a specific situation, but let's say late in the game, big down, you're throwing the ball. It's like 3rd and 7 or whatever. Who are you targeting? Devontae, AJ, or Goddard?
I mean, I'm going to Devontae. Like
that's what I thought too. Yeah. I'm going to Devontae.
I trust him the most to get open. Like, I just trust him the most to find some space. Kind of like Ertz did on that big 4th down. Like, you just knew that Zach Ertz will get past the first down marker. He'll find a little space for himself, and he's going to go catch the football. Like, that's the way I feel about Devontae. I feel like he is as sure a thing.
Technical, best hands.
Run the right route, best hands, run the right route, find space, get open. Like, he would be the one I would be looking for.
Honestly, man, AJ might be 3 for me. I might go Goddard
specific
second.
Situation.
In that specific situation.
I'd probably go AJ too, but I get your point. Like, Devontae is my clear one in that situation.
I agree. And what's interesting about that is I think we would all agree AJ is the number 1 receiver. And I know that's a lot of different reasons as to why. But the fact that you would go to Devontae there, I think is is it's noteworthy. And I agree.
Notable.
To me, like it's almost not even a question. Like I would go to Devontae, and then I would go Goddard. AJ's a little worrisome to me, man. Like he hasn't been great in the postseason. He looks like he's a little banged up. Like I would trust him and do it. Like, look, I'd have no problem throwing it to him, but I think I would go Devontae, Goddard, and AJ.
Yeah, I would go Devontae, AJ, Goddard, but I get your point. Again, like we both agree the clear for us one is Devontae, which is really interesting. And especially in that situation. You got any more questions to fire off of me? I'm enjoying these.
No, I just thought of these. Those are both,
I think,
good. For what it's worth, I think they were both really good off the top.
I thought they were great. I thought they were fantastic.
I mean, this one's a stretch because I don't think either of us will have a good answer to it. But like, Kelce, Travis Kelce. I think the best player to guard him is probably Bradbury. Would you have him do it? Because I feel like he hasn't really done, not that they faced a lot of tight ends like him, but
the Giants played the Chiefs last year, and I think Bradbury held Kelce like 4 catches for like 20.
Did he cover him
when he was on him? He covered him. That's the point. When he was covered,
it
wasn't the whole game.
I wish I knew this all week.
Yeah. A lot of the game he was on him, and he held him to 4 catches. So I think
tweeting
Bradbury
this out when we done
go look it up exactly what it was. But Rhea gave me the stat. Shout out to Rhea. I think Bradbury just physically makes the most sense. I think you can hang with him.
He's the perfect guy to do him. He's a tall receiver that's physical.
And especially when you have CJ, GJ, and Avonte on the field who are one's a safety, one's a slot corner, but like both guys who can cover dudes. Like both those guys can be asked to cover someone in coverage, and you can feel good about them getting the job done, which allows a little more freedom to put Bradbury in those situations, I would think.
Yeah. No, I think I would do it because and this is one instance where like ultimately if they don't get pressure on Mahomes, it might not matter, but at least like their receivers, like I don't know if I'd put like Zach McPherson out there, but if you're going to put Avonte on a guy on the outside, like I would feel pretty confident about that.
I would too.
Here's another thing I would say since we're getting into the nitty gritty, man, Zach McPherson and Josh Jobe better not do any of that like personal dumb stuff they did in that last game. They're going to be energized. It's going to be an emotional moment. If I'm the Eagles, I'm sitting like in Kayvon for what it's worth, sitting those 3 specifically down and being like, look, guys, I appreciate that you're fired up. We love the energy. You're not on the team next year if you do something dumb in the Super Bowl. Like
I couldn't agree more.
You can't have it.
All right. I want to get to final thoughts in a minute. My final thought is Eagles related, and it'll take a minute, but I'm excited about it. I figured I had to end this run with like something good.
There we go.
And the aforementioned picture that I mentioned, if you are one of the currently 66 people in the chat,
you're going to see you
get to see a picture that no one else listening will get to see. But before that, last thing I wanted to get to, and then if you have anything else, go for it. But you mentioned something on the radio day that I thought was really, really, really cool.
Wow.
And it's Nick Sirianni's plan for Saturday night. It's how he's planning to handle the night before the Super Bowl. Like take us inside this, because I thought that I think this could end up being a really powerful night for those guys.
Yeah, so I guess his plan is to have all the players so a lot of times the night before the game, they'll have people talk to the team. If I'm not mistaken,
guest speakers. It was Brett Favre.
Brett Favre, yeah. Brett Favre did it in 2017. And I mean, I was going to say no shot at Brett Favre, but he's turned out to be maybe not the best guy. But like Brett Favre doesn't mean anything to this team. Brett Favre didn't mean anything to that Eagles team. Brett Favre meant something to Doug, right?
He's Doug's buddy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think that what Nick, it seems like what he's planning on doing is he's not going to have a speaker. He's going to just allow people to stand up and talk. Like
and normally Nick does like really plans these things. Like the flower stuff. This is all he has like a message to the team. And
I mean, he spends like time in the off season, like crafting these messages and like watching documentaries to look for things. And, he says that sometimes it changes, like he'll think of one in the off season that never ends up applying to the regular season, but he puts a lot of time and thought into it. And I'm sure he'll say something, right? I imagine he'll start it off, but I think like his plan of just kind of, best way I compare it to like, so my brother went to a Quaker school, and I guess at Quaker
I went to a Quaker school.
Oh, there you go. So I guess you would know.
So it's not just at funerals; they do it for anywhere. It's called meeting for worship, and the idea of meeting for worship is you're all in like a building, whatever, a religious place, and the idea is you sit in silence, and whenever anyone is moved to speak, whenever the light speaks to them or whatever it is, you can just stand up and you speak. I had a teacher who used to get up and sing, like it was, there's all kinds of stuff, but whenever you are moved to speak, you just get up and speak. It's meeting for worship.
And there's not going to be, I would assume, a religious aspect to this, but that is what I think it sounded like to me. It's going to be guys just standing up and talking and saying how they feel. And I think it's perfect. I would have never thought of it, but I think it's actually the perfect choice by Nick. I think like his message ever since he got here was connecting and playing for each other and all those things. And what's better, like what motivates you better than everybody that you care about on the team standing up and talking? Like I think it's super awesome if that's what he ends up doing.
I think it is unbelievably awesome, especially for it just is so in line with all what this guy preaches. Like this whole thing of this guy where he's like connectivity, no bigger motivator than loving the guy next to you, not wanting to let him down, like all that stuff. If you've created this culture, this vibe around this team that is based on that, on connecting, like who better than to talk to each other the night before the Super Bowl than each other, than the guys you love and the guys you're going to battle for? Like, I think it's really
awesome.
I think it's really awesome. And I think it's better than anyone. Like, I don't think there's a single human he could have brought in there that would have been better.
Like, I mean, again, like I'm sure there's tons of great motivational speakers out there. You could maybe, I mean, thank God he didn't bring in like Larry Karras or something, you know, like that, like Mount Union coach or whatever. But yeah, there's tons of people that you could probably think of that would do a good job with it. I don't think there's anything more powerful than this. I think this is the best one. And look, like this is what he's good at. Again, in the coach of the year debate, like what he's doing on Saturday night has nothing to do with his roster. Like the Saturday night thing is not because AJ Brown's a good receiver. The Saturday night thing is because Nick is a very good head coach and Nick knows how to be the head coach of a team. Like he's such a football guy. He's such a guy that has thought about how to handle all these moments. And yeah, I think it's a good call.
Yeah, I'm really, really, really looking forward to like kind of hearing about it after and all that it means.
Oh, good point in the chat. They said, I hope the team releases some of this footage after the game.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we'll hear stories about it. It'd be cool if they release it. I totally agree. All right, where are you going to be again tonight? Wally's, you said, is the taco place?
It's Willie's taco joint. And look, if you're listening to this pod and you're coming there or you're in Arizona and you're going to be there, like DM me. And so that I'll keep an eye out for you. I'll give you all the details. But Willie's Taco Joint in downtown Phoenix.
And if you're not lucky enough, like Elliot, if you're one of the less lucky ones to be stuck here in Philadelphia like me, Locust Rendezvous, 1415 Locust Street. I will be there with John Marks from 6 to 8 tonight. And then the Yard in Havertown from like 8:30 to 10, whenever we get there. We got to drive from one to the other, but we're going to be in two places tonight. Chance to win Eagles tickets for next season, courtesy of Miller Lite, and you get a free beer. So come hang out. If
Nothing
you're
better
around.
than that.
Nothing better. And that's I'm about to go. Now I got to go. I'm going to leave here. I'm going straight from here to pick up Zoe. Then I'm going to get some food, go home, eat, go to the bathroom, and then I'm basically out. So
I love that you're building in bathroom.
Now we're doing.
It's important.
I got to. It's important.
Yeah.
I
got to figure every bit of that out.
All right. I think we're there, buddy. I think we've reached the final thoughts portion of this run. 28
I know.
days.
Well, what's crazy is we still have the radio shows, so it doesn't feel. I think it'll feel more final.
Yeah, like we'll
Sunday,
give our prediction. You know? We'll give our prediction on Sunday. That's something to save. We'll give our official score on Sunday and all that. But like this is certain. We don't do final thoughts on the radio. Like that's a pod.
Right. This is the end of it. Yeah.
So this is the perfect way to wrap this up, our final thoughts of the Eagles Super Bowl run, day 20, even though it'll be 28 total, but it's been awesome.
So, I mean, like, all right, I had a non-serious final thought that maybe this is not the moment for. It was that I think fire alarms are like disrespected in society and overrated, but we can get it. Dude, there's a fire alarm going off in the hotel last night.
And no one's doing anything?
No one's doing anything. Like,
I think this is actually a great take by you.
I literally smelt something burning, and I was just laying in bed being like, well, I'm sure everything's fine. Like, I don't know. So, but my serious take, and I'm sure this will probably just be in line of like, when I said that my opinion of the team won't change because of the Eagles if they lose the Super Bowl, it's really because of the ride. Like, it's just been such an enjoyable ride. It's been such an amazing season. Like, just watching the pod grow, like meeting people. And look, we have 70 people in here now. We have, like, I love when we do the show and the call board lights up with all the people we know. And like, that's what I'll remember about this year. Like, you know, when people talk about 2017, you bring up moments of like the electric slide and the Carson throw. Like this year for me, the on-field thing is Jalen, but the real thing will be just like remembering it. And I remember when, you and Jack got to do like the Phillies World Series run, and I was so happy for you guys. And then I was also jealous, right? And like having to experience this with everybody, it's been everything I could have hoped for. So this isn't the end, this isn't goodbye, but it is if we're doing the finality part of the live pods, like it's been an unbelievably fun, really like meaningful ride.
I so couldn't agree more. I mean, part of my thought was just gonna be the chat, like just the last couple days, and like that's what Elliot's talking about. Like it's the ability to not just talk to we're buddies, we're best pals, we live next to each other, like we drive places together, all that. But like not only do we get to just talk to our buddy about something we love, but there are all these people who like do it with us, and it's like a community, and you guys are becoming friends and talking to each other, and that's like building this community and this thing around this thing that we love, this thing that we care about. I did this the other day, but it's because I feel it so deeply. It's that like we choose to do this as fans, like we make the choice to spend our time with this team. So much time. These people right now, all of you amazing, awesome people, are taking the time to sit with us in this chat
to sit
and
and watch.
That's what I mean. Like it is effort. It is part of our lives. It's something that matters and that we are willing to give our time for. And I just to be able to do it with this group of people and to be able to go on this ride together and feel this community throughout of it. I'm so with you, Elliot. It's been by far my favorite thing about this whole run. And and it's special. All right, and I'll get back to that because that's my final thought too in a roundabout way. But quickly, I forgot to mention before, so I can't go by without saying, if you have not seen, first of all, if you don't believe in karma, watch this video. If you've not seen, the video of that loser, Chris Sims eating it, it is. I'm not joking when I say this, Elliot. It is my favorite video in the history of the internet.
Yeah, you've texted about it a few times. Yeah.
He goes down so hard, and it's so awkward and goofy looking, where it's like it almost looks like it's like computer animated. It's just heaven. Thank you, God, whatever's out there. Thank you for making this happen. Yeah. We needed it. It's so great.
It is like if you think the Eagles are gonna win, like that. Right there is a sign that the Eagles are going to win.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
So I have something quick too, actually, before you go. So someone brought this up in the chat, and they were talking about the day of the Super Bowl, creating a chat just for the Go Birds listeners, something called like a Twitter space. If you guys want to do it and someone can tell me how to do it, I will put it together because it'd be awesome to have all you guys be able to talk, and like I'll be in there too.
That. Yeah,
just somebody. I'll even explain to James how to do it. But if someone wants me to make a Go Birds Twitter space, exactly. DM me how to do it, and I'll set it up. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm totally in on it. Elliot will tell me how to join in, and that's what I'll do. But, not my area of expertise. Okay. The chat I have in my notes. I just wanted to reiterate, like this chat the last couple days. I know Elliot and I have talked about a lot, but just seeing the interaction, seeing all the people find each other because of our pod, like is it's humbling, man. It's amazing. It's really awesome. All right. Now it's time for also real quick. I almost forgot, really quickly, just if we're going to tie loops on things, quickly, Peter's response to yesterday. Nice Chekhov's gun stuff. You missed out on the famous summary of if a gun appears in the first act, it will go off in the third. And then he added, but it's not the most reliable narrative device. That has to be the hero's journey. Get your Joseph Campbell on, baby. So if you think I'm a nerd about movies and storytelling, Peter Seltzer.
Well, the funniest thing is my mom. So I don't know if I ever told you this. My mom, part of her degree that she got in college was in film, like famous films and stuff,
I did,
which is so funny when you consider, I know nothing.
I can't wait to talk to your mom about films.
She texted me and said, like, how is James not my son when he brought it up? So I was like, all right. Glad you're proud of me. No,
I love your mom.
Yeah, it was so very funny.
All right. And now my real final thought, and I mentioned it before, and it starts with a picture. And if you're in the chat, you get to see the picture. I will describe the picture.
God, I know this is gonna be meaning. Okay, all right,
here it is.
Very nice.
For those
is that Brandon Graham jersey?
That is Zoe Seltzer, my daughter. You've heard probably more than you care to hear about on this pod over this run. They've been closing loops. Zoe. Yes. So for those who can see, that is Zoe Seltzer. Let me make sure it doesn't go out.
Yeah, the screen.
Zoe Seltzer, wearing a Brandon Graham jersey, her Go Birds chain. Again, shout out to Rich for bringing those by the show. Zoe took it. And a green pom-pom. and that's what you wore to school today.
That's
And
awesome.
the
the Go Birds chain too. Very nice. Yeah.
right. You see it, the Go Birds chain. It's all there. So the reason,
super quick. Go ahead.
Go ahead. What are you gonna say?
Someone said in the chat that Andy Reid is the ultimate checks gun or whatever it's called. Like,
oh, Chekhov's gun. That's funny.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So anyway, the reason I'm showing this is kind of, it just all ties in together. Is so like, if longtime listeners of the pod probably know, and if you're new to the pod, you might not know that Brandon Graham is my favorite Eagles player of all time, like without a doubt. And there's personal stories connected to that, like that when I worked for the Eagles, I used to walk around the locker room, the microphone, like lowest guy literally in the entire building on the tone. Like Troy, the janitor, was way more important than I was in that building. And like, certain players really nice to me. I've talked about Nick Foles, Jason Kelsey, and Brandon were always really nice to me. But like, I never felt like, I don't know who I am or whatever. I'm just a guy, asking a dumb question. And years later, I was working at another radio station. I was producing a show, and Brandon Graham was in for an in-studio interview. And he goes in to do the interview, sees me through the glass, the producer studio, leaves the room, comes into my studio, looks at me and goes, "I'm so happy for you." He's like, "You're living your dream." He's like, "I'm so happy to see you. This is so awesome. I'm so proud of you." Whatever. I didn't think he knew I was, and like ever since that moment, and I actually got lucky enough to tell him that story on the air years later and all that. So like Brandon Graham has always been my favorite Eagle, and to get to put my freaking daughter in a Brandon Graham jersey the Friday of the Super Bowl. I was thinking a lot about like could it mean as much as the first and all that, and I really came to the conclusion she wasn't here for the last one. She was like about to be conceived the last time the Eagles won the Super Bowl, born the same year. Shout out. Like it made me realize that they're all freaking important, that it all matters. They all matter. There's no more important, less important, whatever. Like, we have so few chances to win it all, to be freaking champions of the world. Like, we've had two in my lifetime. This is the third time the Eagles will ever even have a chance to be the champion of the world. I'm 41 years old. Who knows how? And we feel great about the future. Who knows? You never know. I went 23 years of life without seeing it happen. Like, this matters. This matters. It matters for families. It matters for generations of families. It matters for people who have kids and their 5-year-old is 10 and can understand it and all that stuff. Like, this matters. They all matter. And Elliot said this a bunch and all that. Like, relish this, cherish this. This is really, really special. And especially to go in with a team as amazing and as likable and as good humans as this team is. Like, this is really awesome. Don't take it for granted. Like, I can't freaking wait.
It's a perfect way to end the final pod. And I'll just say this. If anyone's not planning on listening on Sunday, first of all, that's a dumb decision. But second of all, James is going to be like, it's probably a good thing we're not in the same room. Like, it's going to be, Sunday's going to be unbelievable. So the WIP show, obviously.
I get to use one of my favorite phrases. I'm going to be on one on Sunday.
You're going to be on one. There it
I'm
is.
Gonna be on one. All right. Again, because I do have to go now. I got to go. Come to hang out. Locust Rendezvous.
I have to go
the
down,
yard. See Elliot later. Again, to everyone in this chat, like, from the bottom of our hearts. Bottom of our hearts. Thank you. Can't wait. Go Birds. We're going to win the freaking Super Bowl on Sunday. All right. Tomorrow, 1 to 3. Check us out. Sunday, 10 to 12 on WIP. And of course, live show at some point after the Super Bowl. Keep an eye on this. We'll tweet it out. All that stuff. So, again, thank you to everyone. Until then, he's Elliot M. James. Go Birds.